Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're at, whatever time it is. Thank you for tapping in. Welcome to the Crypto Casuals community. I am Stubby,
And I'm Kelly. Welcome, casuals.
and today we're going to be breaking down current events and their effect on the digital asset market. So let's get right into it.
All right, so starting today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the SEC breakdown of the whole situation that's going on between SEC and different crypto projects. So on the first order of business, we have the Wells notice that was actually brought up against Coinbase and Binance, but for different reasons. But specifically on the Coinbase situation, they brought forth the SEC and Gary Gensler brought forth the Wells notice. Okay, so a Wells notice is something that the SEC sends to people or corporations that they intend to bring up charges against formally. So basically, they will send this to a person that they've basically been building up a case against, and they feel like they have enough credible evidence to move forward with an actual case. Now, with that being said, the companies that were claimed as being unregistered securities were some like ADA, Matic, Polygon, Binance USD, and many others, about 15 to 20 total.
And when the SEC claimed these coins as securities or unregistered securities, we saw Cardano fall from 38 cents down to 21 cents, plummeting 41%. Solana going from $22 or just over $22 to $13, plummeting 40%. Binance, BNB token, we saw a drop from $316 to $220 per coin. That right there is a 30% drop. And then we also saw Polygon Matic drop from 91 cents to, and then we also saw Polygon Matic drop from 91 cents to 50 cents. That's, another 40% drop. So with that being the case, and these were panic dumps that were as a result of the SEC's charges that they brought forth against Coinbase and Binance, calling out specifically these coins and these projects as unregulated or unregistered securities. Initially, when the news came out, there was fear, uncertainty, and doubt within the market, but the market didn't immediately react. It was when Robinhood announced that they would be delisting Cardano, Solana, Polygon, that we saw the markets truly dump and capitulate because investors at that point had then priced in those coins being sold onto the market. And since then, these coins have recovered to an extent in 2020 and 2021. And this was billions of dollars, and it frequently occurred at Silvergate Bank, which is one of the three banks that collapsed this year.
Okay, so for the next order of business, we have the Binance situation. And a Wells notice was also brought forth against Binance, but for different reasons in Coinbase. And some of the more specific reasons for Binance, one would be they were accused of commingling customer funds with company funds multiple times in the years of 2020 and 2021 through a well-known crypto bank called the Silvergate Bank. So the Silvergate Bank, oddly enough, is one of three banks that have collapsed this year. And another interesting thing about that situation is Silvergate was actually told to shut down, and some people from Silvergate claimed that they could have continued operations if allowed. And the other two banks were actually brought by bigger banks, namely JP Morgan and others.
And another factor that is comparable between the Binance situation and the Coinbase situation is that both lawsuits are claiming that these exchanges are operating as unregistered broker dealers and clearinghouses.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about spot Bitcoin ETFs and futures. So recently, Companies such as BlackRock, Fidelity, Wisdom Tree, ARK Invest, and others have applied with the SEC to be able to house spot Bitcoin ETFs and futures contracts. If you didn't know, companies like BlackRock and Fidelity, namely BlackRock, is worth $10 trillion or has $10 trillion of assets under management, making it the biggest asset management company in the world. And second behind them, Fidelity, with over 4 trillion in assets under management, has also applied.
With BlackRock and Fidelity applying for the spot Bitcoin ETFs, this opened the door to hedge funds, asset managers, and institutional investors on Wall Street. The difference between a spot Bitcoin ETF and a futures Bitcoin ETF is that with a spot ETF, the difference would be that spot ETFs allow the investor to buy shares based on the actual price of Bitcoin at the time of the trade. So that means that the spot ETF essentially has to actually be based on the underlying asset of Bitcoin. So it would be backed by Bitcoin. In essence, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF would be backed by Bitcoin that BlackRock is holding via Coinbase, essentially. And same as with Fidelity and with ARK Invest. And whereas with a futures ETF, the trade is based on the price of Bitcoin when the future contract expires. So this allows for investors to speculate on the future price of Bitcoin without actually having to own Bitcoin. Now, BlackRock has a 575 to 1 record when filing for ETFs in the past. The one denial that they have has since been approved. And so recently, what we saw was that the SEC came out and they said they did not deny the spot ETF filings for Bitcoin, but they said that they didn't contain enough detail on who was going to be surveilling the underlying asset. And so we saw BlackRock, ARK Invest, Fidelity, Invesco, Wisdom Tree all revise and refile their spot Bitcoin ETFs, announcing Coinbase as who will be providing that surveillance service.
Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, and Citadel all partnered together to make their own crypto exchange called EDX Markets. And in EDX Markets, they hold only the assets of Bitcoin, Ether, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin.
Yep.
As a result of that, we actually seen Bitcoin Cash go up 150%. Additionally, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is set to release their own cross-border digital payment system.
With everything that's been going on in the market, through this process, we actually saw Bitcoin rally from $24,700 to $31,500 per coin, setting a new high for this year. Looking out into the future, over the remainder of the year, now that we're entering the second half, we could see Bitcoin go from 31.5 to 35 up to 40, then potentially seeing some sort of drawback or pullback maybe in September. But at the time of recording, Bitcoin is up over 85% from the start of the year.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to leave you on a more positive note. So we actually have some not proven yet, but some hopefully positive speculation that we've heard around the crypto community. We've been hearing as of recently that somebody from inside the SEC has came forward and announced that Gary Gensler has actually brought in his resignation following an internal investigation on him.
Now, at the time of this recording, this news came out about 4 days ago. However, since then, we haven't heard anything from Gary.
At all.
And so thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tapping in. Obviously, this was not financial advice, but like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Peace.
Peace.